Welcome to Sounding Board. This is a regular program completely produced by Seroptimist International of Novato. Our club members work very hard to make sure our programs are in alignment with our mission, and that is to help improve the lives of women and girls, both locally and globally. So with our program today, Hooves for Harmony, I think our producer Vicki Campbell has really done a good job. You will be delighted with our guest today, Heather Parker. So, Heather, please tell us, what does Hooves for Harmony mean?
Hooves for Harmony is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we started in 2004, so we're just about to have our 10th anniversary, and we provide therapeutic horseback riding to children with special needs.
Okay, children with special needs. I'm always curious what special needs means. How do you define it?
I like to leave it open. I think there's a lot of different needs that children have that horse therapy can help with. There's physical disabilities, there's social and speech delays, there are children in foster care, there are behavioral issues, so I don't really want to too much define that box. I think we just like to leave it open as any special need that horse therapy could assist with.
So if I were a parent with a cranky kid, I could come to you and say, hey, can you help me out?
Well, that's a normal need.
Oh.
That's not a special need.
Okay. So you're very young, Heather, and especially in my terms. But how did you get started in this field? It's a very unusual field.
Well, I was applying to medical school out of college. I did my undergrad in pre-med, molecular biology, and I had to do thousands of hours of volunteer work to apply to medical school. And I found horse therapy while I was looking for volunteer opportunities, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. I was immediately hooked, found a second place to work, started working more days a week, and pretty soon I was doing it almost 7 days a week, and it was just a huge part of my life. I then relocated back to the Bay Area and really missed it, and looked for another horse therapy program and found Howlett Creek, and I started volunteering there more and more. And it just became something I was very, very passionate about, to the point where I decided not to go to medical school and instead to pursue this as a career. So the one thing I really found at all the places I worked is, you know, horses are living, breathing beings, and they have good days and bad days, and they all come with different personalities. And I think it was really important to me to learn how to train a horse, how to be what we call bomb-proof, or really safe for...
Bomb-proof?
Bomb-proof, yeah.
Okay, just wanted to hear that.
To make sure that they're really safe to put a child on that has special needs. So I actually did a 1-year apprenticeship with a horse trainer, Charles Wilhelm, in the East Bay, and I actually went to live in the bunkhouse at his facility for an entire year.
This is something you felt that you needed? It wasn't anything prescribed for you?
Correct.
Okay.
At the different places I'd worked, you know, you have a horse that, you know, will spook or buck, and a child, you know, could get thrown, or, you know, you just have different situations come up. And to me, at all the different places I've worked, that was the one thing I really saw where, you know, I felt like I wasn't capable of fixing that. I didn't know how to, you know, train that out of a horse.
Wow.
So I really wanted to go to what I called horse college. And, you know, I knew I didn't know enough to start my own program until I did that. So
you feel pretty confident with that now? With
I do.
horses?
I spent an entire year with Charles, and he specialized in problem horses. So every horse that came in, bucked, bit, kicked, reared, bolted, you name it. And by the end of that year, I had learned how to actually fix that problem. And then I stayed on for another year being a colt starter and did all the lessons and everything. And I actually started Hooves for Harmony at his facility when I had completed my internship.
Now let me just go back for a minute. You have parents, I think you might have mentioned earlier, but maybe both of your parents are doctors.
Yes.
And here you are going for a pre-med direction, and all of a sudden you switch paths and go for something that you just so absolutely passionate about.
Yes.
And how did your parents deal with that?
Molecular biology to horse college. It's an interesting jump. Actually, it was my mom that really pushed me to follow my passion. We were actually having a conversation one day about the fact that I loved this horse therapy and I wanted to do it as much as I could. And I actually said to her, I can't wait till I retire from being a doctor so I can really do this full time. And she looked at me and she was like, you know, you're 20. If you're talking about waiting until your 50s to do what you want to do, that's crazy. If this is what you're really passionate about, you should do it. So really, you know, I owe it all to my mom that gave me, you know, the push, the nudge that it was okay to maybe change my mind on what I wanted to be when I grow up and follow my passion. And I've been doing that for 10 years. So, you know, I'm very lucky that I had my family support on that.
Now, Hooves for Harmony, that's not just Novato, then it's larger than that in scope. Is that right?
Well, I started in Castro Valley and then we moved to Redding. My husband's work moved up there. So for about 7 years, we've lived in Redding. So I ran it there. And we just recently moved back to Novato. So I don't have more than one branch. I just run the one facility, which is now in Novato at Morning Star Farm.
At Morning Star Farm, and that's across the street from San Marin High, is that it?
That's correct.
And when did you open that one here in Novato?
We just opened in around October, I believe. We moved in September and, you know, had to get some volunteers and get everybody trained and get all the, you know, T's crossed and I's dotted and get everything worked out. So I think we had our first riders in October.
So explain to us exactly what horse therapy is and what does it really do for kids?
Horse therapy is amazing. It does so many different things. Some of the, I think, main things that I've seen is helping children walk. So if you have a child that's, say, in a wheelchair or a walker and they can't walk, riding on a horse, even just at a walk, the horse gait pattern is the same as a human, meaning from the waist down, when you're riding on a horse that's walking, you're actually doing the exact same movements as if you were walking.
Interesting.
So it actually trains the brain, the neurons fire in the same order, the muscles are firing in the same pattern to balance the trunk, everything is the same. And so you're kind of tricking your brain into thinking that you're walking. And so it can really help children train their brains and their muscles and the balance.
Even if it's a small little body on this big horse.
Yes, and that's actually a challenge, I think, is, you know, the back riding behind a small child and holding them. You want to hold them, but you don't want to hold them too much because you want them, you know, to be balancing themselves and using their muscles too. So it's a fine balance between, you know, keeping them on the horse and really letting their muscles work. So that's one component of what horse therapy does. There's a laundry list of other things. It actually reduces seizures. I've had many parents tell me that they've even eliminated seizure medications because of the horse therapy. It helps with social skills. It helps with PTSD, brain injuries, you name it. I mean, almost anything you can think of that children struggle with, it can help with behavioral issues. And one thing I wanted to mention too is some foster children that I was working with in Redding. We had really, really good results with some anger issues and behavioral issues where they were acting out, and literally just 2 or 3 weeks of horse therapy and those issues had completely dissipated.
Wow.
So it's just amazing. It does just about everything.
That's
it's
neat.
kind of a miracle treatment.
Once before when we were talking, you had mentioned an author who had done quite a bit of research. Do you want to mention him?
Her, actually, Temple
sorry.
Grandin. Yeah, she's written a book called Animals in Translation, and she talks a lot about autism.
Animals in Translation.
Yes.
Okay, and the author is Temple Grandin.
Yes.
Just in case somebody wants to go run out and get that book.
Yes, yeah, amazing woman. And she has autism, and so she has written a book about, you know, what it's like to be autistic and how that feels and how they actually think very similar sometimes to animals, and so they really can relate to animals. And there's a lot of research being done on the connection between horses and children with autism. And there's definitely something there that I don't know if I can define it, but I've seen a lot of kids with autism, especially, just they walk up to the horse and they start talking. I had one father come up to me and just throw his arms around me and start crying and say, "I've never seen my son talk this much."
Oh my gosh.
So just an amazing connection.
Oh, that's fabulous. So you work on a pretty small budget, I assume. So you work depend a lot on volunteers. Can you tell us about the kind of people you get as volunteers?
I really look for high school students and even elementary school students.
Students, okay, high school
Yes.
students, no adults. You don't have.
I have very few adults. I really like to use teenagers for a lot of reasons. I think it's very important to start early, teaching them about giving back to the community and volunteer work and the importance of it. I think it also is really good for teenage girls to work with horses as far as assertiveness training. I think just teenagers in general need to feel useful and appreciated, and it's just a really great way for them to feel like they're really making a difference, you know, on one morning a week where they can really help a child in need. And I have a really neat essay too on our website about one teen that I worked with for a couple of years, who was actually a Novato teen who was really struggling and getting into trouble, and she started volunteering at Hooves for Harmony, and it completely changed her life. And she has a really neat essay that's on our website that is just tear-jerking, and she actually just got accepted to a grad program at Rutgers University.
Oh my gosh,
she
that
really
is fabulous, and she
turned it
attributes it
around.
all to
She
your
does.
program, huh?
She does.
Oh my
Shamrock,
gosh.
my horse in particular.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, how wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. So, and right now, there's a big push, you know, for high school kids to feel this need to be giving back to their community, and they're giving community service hours. So do you work closely with the schools?
I do. I think the students take responsibility for that, which I think is important. You know, they bring me their forms that I have to fill out each week on how many hours they've completed. But I'm working quite a bit with Marin Catholic. We have a large majority of our volunteers are from Marin Catholic. But San Marin High School, of course, right across the street.
Yeah.
And Novato High School, and a couple elementary schools. I think we even have one student from Sebastopol High School, kind of from all over.
Interesting.
So yeah, most Sundays we have as many as 20 volunteers show up. So
Wow.
it takes an army to do this.
Wow. So where do you find your riders, all these special needs students, or special needs kids, I should
Yes.
say, because there might not be students necessarily, huh?
Yeah, I find word of mouth mostly. You know, you have one parent that comes out and is really excited about it, and they tell all their, you know, classmates at school, and all the parents talk. But when we moved here, I actually contacted the Golden Gate Regional Center, and that was pretty much all I had to do. They blasted out an email to all their clients, and I was full in no time. So,
Really?
and then all of those folks told their friends. So yeah, we filled up pretty quick.
And how much do they have to pay?
It's free, and that's one of the most
Amazing.
important things about Hooves for Harmony is it's free. We're completely donation-based. It's completely volunteer-based. Everybody is volunteer, and yeah, it's part of our mission statement to keep it free. So
Good. So I know that you've got some fabulous stories to tell us. So can you tell us some of the things, the amazing things that you've seen horse therapy do? I know you've
Yes.
got some just wonderful, touching stories.
it's so hard to narrow it down, but there are a few that really stand out. One is Ansel. Everybody called him Baby Ansel because he started riding when he was just barely over a year. And he had Wolff-Hirschhorn syndrome, hard to pronounce, has. And he was very underweight. He was having that difficulty, wasn't thriving, he wasn't eating, he wasn't gaining weight. He, you know, was very delayed on all his motor skills, wasn't crawling, wasn't sitting up, wasn't rolling over, any of that stuff. So his parents contacted me, and we
How
actually...
old was he when he started?
He was barely a year. I want
my
to say he
gosh.
was maybe like 14 months. And I wish I had video recorded his first ride, because he was just a limp rag. Like, his head was hanging. I was trying to hold him on the horse. I just wasn't sure, you know, if we were even going to be able to really do horse therapy. He was so limp. And literally within probably 2 months, he was sitting up almost completely by himself. He was holding the handlebars. He was holding his head up. And they were just absolutely shocked. And his physical therapist was asking the parents, what are you doing different? And they said, we started horse therapy. So, you know, his seizures went, can't say they went away, but they went from really bad all day and all night to very, very few. His trunk strength, his, you know, head control, everything, it was just amazing.
Oh, my.
Yeah, another one is Connor. He was one of my riders in Reading as well. He was told that he would never be able to ride a bike. He had really bad issues with balance. And he started riding with a back rider. We had to ride behind him, hold him on, 2 side walkers, the whole bit. And within probably about a year, he started riding completely by himself, where he didn't even have a leader. He was, controlling the reins and controlling the horse by himself. And eventually graduated to be a volunteer and helped lead the horse for other riders. So,
wow.
And he, of course, is riding a bike now. So we proved the doctors wrong on that one.
That's fabulous. Okay, tell us another one. I'm hooked.
Let's see, I have to think for just a minute. Arlie was another one. She had an issue where she was very, very tense. She was in a wheelchair, very little ability to talk, and her muscles were just very, very tight. Her arms were up tight against her chest. Her legs were, coiled up and tight. And the first time she got on the horse, we of course had to back ride with her. I was holding her on there, and her arms actually relaxed down and almost straight, and her mom just absolutely lost it. And she said, "I've never seen my daughter's arms down ever."
Oh my gosh.
And that was 10 minutes on the horse the very first time. So, with a lot of horse therapy, she was able to completely relax her arms, legs, get some flexion. She was able to actually put one leg on either side of the horse, and just had amazing results with the horse therapy.
Now, you were talking about the volunteers, and you made the comment about it takes a lot of people to put this together. And I've heard you now say that the child comes in and sits on you, and you are the back rider, which means that you're riding behind her in the saddle.
Yes.
And you said about the side people, there are 2 side people, sometimes maybe 1 or 2, whatever. So there's 3 people around.
Plus a leader.
Plus a leader with the horse. Okay.
Yeah.
So there are 4 people for 1 child, and then
Yes.
eventually it lessens where there's
Correct.
maybe 2, the leader and the back person, or whatever it is.
Right.
So how many children do you have going at one time well, you have the program on Sundays from 9 to 12. So
Yes.
how many, what kind of a population do you have there?
I'm limited with the number of horses, so I have 3 horses right now. So we have 3 riders going at once. So you can see my 20 volunteers that show up. I need every single one of them. They help get the horses ready. They help with the sidewalking, the leading, the back riding. We also have games that we play while we're riding. We have a long list of games. We play soccer, basketball, golf. We do relay races. What am I forgetting? Wiffle ball. And so we also have people that are just kind of floating around helping with the games, getting balls, stuff like that. So.
Interesting. So does the child come for 1 hour or do they come for the 3 hours?
It's actually about 30 minutes per session. So we do 3 sessions on Sunday, 3 half-hour sessions. And I usually find after 30 minutes, they're pretty tired. It's pretty intensive. We're playing games, we're walking. You have all these people interacting with you. So usually after 30 minutes, they're pretty tuckered out.
Yeah.
If we have a rider that can go longer than 30 minutes, I usually put them at the end and we can go a little bit longer. But my experience has been they're usually ready to get off after 30 minutes.
So I'm sure you have lots of costs for this program. You have volunteers working for you, and you have, tell us about the costs that you have to deal with.
Yeah, our main cost is just feeding 3 horses. Hay is expensive, so paying board at Morningstar Farm is mainly just the hay. We're actually doing a fundraiser right now, which is hay for Hooves. So you can actually buy a bale of hay for $20, and that feeds our horses for a few days. So that's always nice. The other issue is, we have donated horses. They tend to be older horses. The calm horses are usually the older horses. So that comes with more medical bills. We spend a lot of money on the vet. We have arthritis. We have ring bone. We have all kinds of, issues with getting older. So, we have a lot of that. And then insurance expense, we of course have to carry liability insurance. So, we have a lot of bills that we have to pay. And because we don't charge, we do rely on donations and grants for that.
And you have a very nice little publication that I saw. I suppose there's printing costs involved.
Yeah, brochures, yes, and all of the flyers and stuff we do. Yeah, it all adds up.
You have a very nice website.
Thank you.
And what is that website?
It's www.hoovesforharmony.org.
And we may say that a couple more times during the program, but do you have to pay for that, or is that something you have done?
I pay for the domain, but I do have a volunteer that does the website for me who's amazing. His name's Robert, and he has just spent hundreds of hours on our website and has done a beautiful job. Yeah.
Is he a high school volunteer also?
No, he's an adult. He's a web designer.
Ooh, one adult finally. Yeah. Okay, so and you have you say you get your horses for free then? They're donated?
Oh yeah, yep. All our horses have been donated. Some rescued, some are just retired. It's a great retirement for horses. I get calls all the time. People want to retire their horses to a horse therapy program because for arthritis, really the best thing is just to be walked. So it's really low impact. We walk for an hour and a half once a week. And then, of course, I exercise them during the week. But, it's a nice retirement for a horse, too. So all of our horses have been donated, and some of them rescued, too, which I think is an important component, especially with children that have been through abuse. I find that the horses that have been abused, they really make that connection. And I've even had volunteers, women that have been abused, that really make that immediate connection with one of my rescue horses.
Oh, my. That's nice to know.
Yeah.
So we're talking about some occasional fundraising activities that you have, but what else do you do to raise money?
We're actually just signing up for the Human Race in Marin coming up, I believe it's May 10th. So we'll be doing that fundraiser. We're hoping to have a Dine to Donate, I think it's called, at Mary's Pizza Shack here in Novato. We're trying to get that scheduled. And we're doing the Hay for Hooves fundraiser right now as well. So we're getting some t-shirts and sweatshirts made. We're going to be selling those. But, we mainly just ask the public, this is a service we provide to the community for free. So if you can help out and donate, we have a donate button through PayPal on our website and also on our Facebook page. And we do post a lot of pictures on our Facebook page. We invite everybody to go to that and check out our pictures. We try to get a lot of pictures every week posted so you can see the riders, you can see where your donation goes and see the progress of the riders.
Now you offer the program only on Sunday mornings, is that right?
Correct.
From 9 to 12, and it's at San Marin, across from San Marin High School at the Morning Star Ranch.
Yes.
I go out, I run, believe it or not, I actually run, and Sunday mornings is a favorite time for me to run, but if I were to run by there on Sunday mornings, where exactly on that field would you be?
You would see us directly across from San Marin High School. So they call it the vaulting area, and there's just kind of a ring out there that has, a nice circle of dirt right by the road there. So
not at the corner, not up
right
at the corner, but
on Novato Boulevard. Yeah, there's the pasture on the corner. We're right next to that on Novato Boulevard, right by the high school.
Very good. So how would somebody contact you if they had a child who might benefit, or maybe even if they had money to donate? How would they contact you?
The best way to contact me is probably my phone, and that's 530-410-4422, or the website, which is thehoovesforharmony.org, or they could email me directly at heatherparker1111@gmail.com.
Okay. So we have just a little bit of extra time, so do you have just a couple more of those just wonderful stories
I have
to
so
tell?
many.
Tell us a couple more.
Davy was one of my favorites, and Davy was autistic. I keep saying is autistic, and I just thought it was really neat that he had no interest in getting on the horse. What he wanted to do was pull up his chair right next to this one particular horse named Skip, and he just wanted to hang out with Skip. And the more he did, the more he started telling me, this is what Skip is telling me. And he said, he wants to go be in the sun. And so we'd move him over to the sun, and he'd say, he's happier now. And he just started almost like narrating for Skip. And the funny thing is, he actually told me that Skip wasn't feeling good. And Skip has since left us. He got ill, and I had to put him down at the ripe old age of 35. It was not premature. He was older than dirt. But Davy actually told me that he wasn't feeling good. And that was the first inkling that I had that there might be something wrong. And it wasn't for another probably month or two before I actually started to see, some of the symptoms that he wasn't well. And I remembered back to, oh my gosh, Davy told me that like a month ago. That's so weird. So that was neat. Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, tell us another one.
Who else? Garrett. Garrett was another amazing rider that we had. He was completely nonverbal, but he could type. So he was able to communicate only with a keyboard. So he started coming out to ride, and again, wasn't interested in getting on the horse. And I always tell people there's no pressure to get on. I'm not goal-oriented. If they want to come out and just hang out and brush the horse, that's awesome. So Garrett came out every Saturday. We used to run on Saturdays for probably 2 years. And he would go home and he would type on the computer, and he journaled about Hooves for Harmony, and he was so scared of the big horse. There's no way he would ever get on. And he, I think 2 years later, just climbed right up there, and we could not get him off. For about 3 hours he rode the first time.
So it took 2 years for him to
2
get
years.
up on the horse?
Every
Oh my
week
gosh.
he came out, and he actually wrote a poem, which is also on our website, that he actually typed by himself about his horse Shamrock.
Oh
So
my
that's
gosh.
pretty neat.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
That's wonderful. You know, I'm thinking you're doing this all with passion. It's just a very dear passion. I can see it just comes across with
I
you.
love
You know, the
doing
stories
it.
you're
Yeah.
saying, but it doesn't pay you a salary. Do you think there'll ever be a time when this will be big enough? Maybe that it'll be. Do you ever have any dreams on this being?
Yes, absolutely. That is my
Right.
dream.
Yeah.
So I've always had to have, I always call it a grown-up job, Monday through Friday. You know, I've always worked full-time. I'm actually trying to finish my degree right now, so I'm a full-time student. But yeah, this has always just kind of been a hobby. I've just tried to make, you know, ends meet to pay the expenses, but not necessarily pay myself. And yeah, that would be a dream come true if I could be able to raise enough to actually have a salary and be able to do it Monday through Sunday and do it every day, and then I could provide it to more children.
Wow, wouldn't that be wonderful?
It would.
Yeah, I hope you do.
Oh,
I hope
thank
you're able
you.
to do that. Well, do you have any, let's see, we've got your email. Do we have your email address? Have we told the people about your email address?
We did. I can repeat it. It's
Please
easy.
do.
It's heatherparker1111@gmail.com.
Okay. And then once again, your website?
Is just hoovesforharmony.org.
Okay, hoovesforharmony.org. And so do you have any last minute comments to leave with our audience?
Just thank you so much for having me here. This has been really wonderful. And just that, you know, we're providing this to the community for free. So, you know, we do rely on donations. And if you're able to help, even if it's to buy a bale of hay for $20, every little bit helps. And,
great.
you know, wave at us and honk on Sunday if you see us out there.
I'm going to look for you. Thank you, Heather, for being here. This has been a great program. And thank you, our audience, for watching this program. And we do hope you'll donate to Heather's program. And thank you, Leon Johnson, our technical director, and the one who puts together all the edits for our program. We thank you very much. And thank you, and Pat, for showing our program, and whoever else is behind the scenes.